Welcome everybody to our worship today. I welcome you today so we can receive grace and also answers through the worship. Today's title is God's Absolute Sovereignty and the answer of 25. God's Absolute Sovereignty and the answer of 25. It's a little bit long. We read First Chronicles, chapter 29, verse 10 to 14. Actually, this is whose confession? David's confession. As you know, we always share our main service that we had in our main building. Just to keep it summarized, what is very important for us is the gospel. Gospel is given by God. We all agree with that. Because it's given by God, we must accept this and make it ours, right? Because in John 1:12 says, those who receive and accept my name has the authority to be children of God. So this gospel is so amazing and so precious and wonderful, but you must accept it to be yours, right? So now we have the gospel in our life. We need to have something to continue this. How are we going to continue this? Today we heard is we ourselves, we must imprint this gospel in us. In other words, just make it more simple. You must personalize this gospel. Sometimes, the wording and the vocabularies are very difficult to understand. More than personalize, we can say, you must enjoy this gospel. So how are you going to enjoy this gospel? The moment you enjoy this gospel, today we heard that this gospel movement will be relayed to the next generation. I have a son, 9 months. You are sons and daughters of your mother, right? Somehow, before you get married, you barely think about next generations. When I was younger and when I was not married, I only thought about myself, right? How to be successful, how to be a greater man as a respectful man, and how can I be a good person in society. It's all about me. But then you start to grow and get older, right? And you start to meet people that have babies. And the first thing you say, why do they have babies, right? They're always crying, screaming, and making all, wandering around, running around. And actually, a remnant here, he's 16, right? He's like, I said, oh, look at the little girl, it's so cute. He's like, what's so cute about it, right? I was in the same history, in the same story. I didn't like babies. I didn't like, kids. But, when I start to do ministry with younger generations, you start to realize that they are the future. In other words, this gospel movement cannot end with me only. If I die and my son does not take this gospel, in other words, I have failed my mission in this world, right? Even in the secular world, even people that are successful, they want to relay their knowledge and their generations to the other generations. But the problem is that they fight about it, right? Who's going to have more? Who's going to take more, right? But we're not talking about who's going to have this big building, this church, or this department, or this. No, we're talking about this gospel movement. And we are actually reading now, we have entered in the books of Judges. I'll give you a little summarize about the book of Judges because at the end of the day, you must know the background why the book of Judges came out. Remember before Judges, who was there? Joshua. And today we read in Joshua chapter 2, verse 6 to 10. It said that when Joshua was alive and the elders that were with Joshua, they believed and knew God's work. Not any God that people in the world believe. It says Jehovah God. So in other words, it's actually making a distinction of other gods, Jehovah God. And what happened? And the last verse says, but the next generation after Joshua did not know about God, neither knew about God's work. What was God's work? Remember, where Israel came out, 400 years of slavery, from Egypt. They forgot about everything what happened in Exodus. They didn't know anything about this, in other words. So what is Exodus? The key is Passover. Passover, right? Death passed over them. If you put the blood of the lamb in your door, the spirit of death will pass over and you will live. And the blood signifies who? The blood of Christ. Because it was the blood of the lamb. They did not know what was God's work. And also, they did not know who was God. So I will just summarize a little bit about Judges. So you can have this and take it for, I don't know if our head pastor is going to go with the book of Judges. Actually, not many pastors preach or give messages about the book of Judges because there's nothing good about it. It's actually not cool. It's not very beautiful. It's very violent. It's very bloody. And many people, when they actually read the book of Judges, they feel like, why they put this book in the Bible? But at least you need to know the background of the history. So just to summarize you, chapter 1 to chapter 2, we read chapter 2 today, but in chapter 1 actually says that Israel failed to drive out all the Canaanites. In other words, they were conquering Canaan, but before they were conquering Canaan, there were people that were living already there. So they were called Canaanites. Within there were the Ammonites, Midianites, so many other tribes. So in chapter 1, they fail to drive out all the Canaanites. But God said, you need to drive them out, everybody. You need to take them all out. Okay? And there's a very important question here. Why did God said to drive, in other words, kill the Canaanites if God is so merciful, right? Canaanites had many gods. But one of the things that they do was children sacrifice. So they believe that they must give children sacrifice to their gods. So people, atheists or people that don't believe in God or people that have gospel but they feel like God is not just, they think, why God killed people? I'm not saying, you're not understanding, Canaanites were not just people. They were actually murderers of children for many years. So God knew that if Israel mixed with them, what are they going to take? They're worshiping of the idols, which is what? The main thing of them was what? Sacrificing children. That's why God said mainly, you must take everybody out from there and start a new people tribe, which was people of the covenant. That was the main purpose of God with Israel. That's why God said, I have called you out from Egypt so you can be my people, not people of Canaanites. Chapter 2, we read today. What was it? It says, in chapter 2, they adopted the Canaanites' cultures and also the Canaanites' idols. If you look continuously the book of Judges, just take this. It starts like this. It's like a swirl. So in other words, they sin, right? They have oppression. In other words, God will send enemies to Israel so they can do what? Repentance of their sins, which is worshiping idols, not just God. And then they had peace. And then what happens? Right again. They start here and then start over again. They came back because they did not do one thing, which was the first thing. So when you see chapter 3 till 16, if you look at this part, you can see actually the corruption of the judges. Remember, judges were not kings in that time. Judges were just fighters. In other words, in our terms, would be soldiers that had leadership, that were very strong in their leadings. So these judges, they were corrupted. This is 3 to 16. But if you look at chapter 6 to 9, do you know Gideon? Right? It's very known, right? He won the battle with 300 people. It's amazing how God gave this mystery to Gideon, right? So if you look at the book of Judges, God gave, the Spirit of God was with them, it says like that, to give them power. But it did not actually make them change who they are. So in other words, they had the free will to take this and say, oh, God is with me. God is powerful. Let's go back to God. But Gideon, after experimenting and experiencing such a great miracle here, he decided to kill many Israelites that did not obey him. And what happened? He fell into what? Idol worshiping again. And what you see in chapter 10 to 12, there's a judge called Jephthah. I don't know if that's the right pronunciation, but somehow it's written like this, Jephthah. What happened here? This particular judge, he did not know God's character. So he was a tribe of Israel, but do you know what he wanted to do? Sacrifice children for God. So he adopted what? The Canaanites' religion and wanted to give it to God. Do you know how important it is to not mix the gospel? We try to worship money, success, and God. It's the same thing. We try to worship Buddha and all the religions and then God. Same thing. You cannot mix the gospel. Never. The moment you mix the gospel is you do not know who is God actually. And we're living in that age. Everybody's mixed. Everybody thinks that we all in good things, you know. We are doing the good stuff. But no. And if you look in chapter 13 to 16, Judge chapter 13 to 16, we know the famous character that we always talk about in the Bible, Samson. Actually, I thought that when I was little, I used to read books about the Bible, and always Samson came out as a hero. You never thought about that? I thought Samson was a great hero, strong, powerful. He beat everybody, people that did not believe in God. And then at the end, his hair was cut off and he had no power. And then he was taking his eyes and he was all chained. And then he prayed to God, give me all the strength. And then he destroyed and killed all the people there. I thought he was a hero, but actually not. He was very, very self-centered. He had God's power in him, which was his hair. It's a representation of who was he? It's a people of God. But he used it for what? For his own honor, for his own success. Not for Israel, not for God, for himself. That's why it started with violence and it finished with violence. So what does that mean actually? We as believers of God, if we live for ourselves, we will finish with ourselves. That's why Christians, at the end of the day, they work so hard for themselves and they appear and they think, what happened with my life? I have done nothing. And they say Christianity is nothing now. And they throw it away. Let's look at chapter 17 to 18. Who is this judge? Micah. You know Micah, right? But if you look, Micah, he also fell into what? Worshipping idols. You see how important it is to have the right start? Because no matter how they were repenting and they were restored and they had peace, they will always go back to what? To idol worshiping. Lastly, chapter 19, verse 21. Chapter 21, sorry. If you look at chapter 19 and 21, it talks about wars and death continuously. And then the time of Judges passed, and who came? The next book is Ruth. You know about Ruth, right? And the next book is what? Samuel. I'm not going to say how many years it took. So many people say a couple of 400 years. Many people have different way to see, but the key point is this. So Samuel, where he was, beneath who? Beneath Eli, who was spiritually blinded, next to the ark of the covenant. Do you understand? He was next to the ark of the covenant, but yet had a prophet that was blinded spiritually. This is the next generation. So Samuel raised who as a king? First, he raised Saul, and then he raised who? David. But at the end of the day, God used who? David. So how important is to really raise this remnant in this time? So what Samuel did in his ministry, of course, he raised king as Saul and David, but the main work and ministry that Samuel had was what? Mizpah movement. What's Mizpah movement? Let's not worship other idols, and let's go back to who? To God only. You know why he said that? It came from here. So actually, he knew that Israel was suffering because they were worshiping idols. In other words, Samuel saw the spiritual problem of that age, even though he was not living in the time of Judges. So maybe you were not in the time of Judges. Maybe you were not in the time of the New Testament at the time of Jesus, that Jesus came. But the problem is the same one. The problem is actually the problem of sin, problem of Satan. And people are actually separated from God. That's the problem. And we call this spiritual problem. So, who is Samuel? Right? Who is David? And through David, who came? Christ. So at the end of the day, you cannot stop God's work. You can never stop God's plan. No matter how awful and so bad was this time of Judges, God fulfilled his covenant through his evangelist, for our terms, right? But in other words, is through his people of the covenant. And this gospel that came to David came to us again. Through who? Through Jesus Christ. If Jesus came here, we did not see him, but we believe that he came because he gave us his word. That's the Bible. Then we know that, okay, he came. Now what? You must know that he came as the Christ. That's the key of everything. I meet a lot of Christians. They say, I believe in Jesus, I believe in God, I believe in everything, but they don't know if Jesus is actually the Christ. And actually, that was the main service. If you really want to relay this covenant and this gospel movement to the next generation, they must know who is Christ. And Christ is what? The only solution that man cannot have and man cannot give. This is sin, problem of Satan, and separation from God. So how important is to know who is the Christ? I'm not saying knowing Christ by knowledge. Okay? You can search about Christ in the internet. It talks about prophet, priest, and king. Right? We're not saying that we have the special message here. You can search it. It's everywhere. But why are we saying that people are not talking about and enjoying this? Right? I see churches that they claim and they say we are Christ-centered church, like that. They say like that, Christ-centered church. Today, someone from New Zealand came, right? It's the first time I see someone from New Zealand. But if I'm not wrong, I think a long time ago, a couple of years ago, there was a great terrorist attack in New Zealand. And I think the place was called Christ Church, right? So there were Islams, right? There was a mosque over there. We're not talking about the title of Christ. We're talking about what Christ did for us. But we know till that, right? What Christ did for me. But do you really believe it? Do you really believe that he is the one that took you off from this? That's the key of enjoying and just knowing. That's the key. If you enjoy it, no matter what problem you face and what problem you have, you know that you have a greater grace than the things that you see now with your eyes. That's why this covenant is called covenantal grace. This what we call enjoying. So we don't die. We are moved to eternal place. That's our blessing. So that's the thing that we must understand from now on. Who is Christ for me? Why do I need Christ? These two questions is very important for a walk of faith. Because we're living in a time that everybody says that anything can be God. And anything can be the way. But that's not true. If you truly believe that God and His Son, who is Jesus Christ, is the only way, then that's the only truth. That's the only thing that God gave to us. But that's the fight that we have now in this age. And you guys, the young generations here, you will notice more and more that people are more away from this because they seek for what? Their stuff, their things, their success, their money, their everything. And at the end of the day, they fall into transcendental meditation, secular meditation, New Age movement, key energy movement, and they have, at the end of the day, side effects because of that. Who's going to save that field? You guys need to save that field. I myself, I need to save that field. So how important is the gospel? And how important is that you're listening to the message that only talks about the gospel? You need to be thankful, actually. Because, I myself, assistant pastor, I have a lot of resources to really listen about, about church, about denominations, about everything, right? But the more I listen, I feel like I'm getting away from what God really wants. In other words, the essence of God. It's funny, right? It's so funny because I'm reading about the essence of God. I'm learning. I'm studying. But the more I study, I feel like I'm more away from the essence of God. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I'm just saying that what keeps us alive and keeps us in the walk of faith is this spiritual truth. That's why you need to take this evidence, be the witness, and go to your field. Your field is very important. That's why. You have this great, great evidence in your life. Now you're a witness of this. Just being there. That's why today, this is a long summary of our main service. But let's go quickly about, then what is God's absolute sovereignty? You know what sovereignty means? Sovereignty means who rules over everything. Who has control of everything? It's God. But how do you know that? Let's go quickly. First, what kind of sovereignty does God have? Now, who is God? First of all, He is creator of everything. Heavens and earth. Heavens includes universe too. It's not just the sky you see. Heavens is everything. And earth is what is everything beneath the heavens. He has control of everything. Because He made everything from nothing. This is the key. Atheists do not believe that things were created from nothing. That's the fight. But the more the scientists and the more the math scholars, they more study about this, they understand that something from nothing created something. Not something happened like that. Suddenly came something. No. Someone designed this and someone did this from nothing. And this is a creator. And now is what? To really know if it's God for them or not. But it's actually God. So I always say you don't need to debate with atheists. They always bring you stuff that from God to debate about God. They don't bring the foundation of their atheism to fight against or debate against God. They bring, God is like this, why God is like that? I'm like, okay. You're just taking stuff from context of the Bible to talk about God, but you don't believe in God. How can you do that? You can never debate about that. That's why you don't need to debate with them because their mind and heart, they're closed. You need to pray for them. And actually, we do have in our church that are atheists. Do you know that? No? I'm sorry to say, but Christian from South Africa, he's atheist, but he comes to our church. You did not know? Well, sorry to say, but yes. But he always debates about why God is the only way. We don't need to debate. Just you need to pray for them. Because it's a problem of their heart and mind, and They cannot know and actually understand and take this spiritual reality. Second, who is God? Predestination. Remember, I'm not here to talk about theological terms here, but it's actually, this term is very theological. Predestination means he prepared with goal in advance. In other words, he knew what's going to happen, and he knew what's going to happen in the future until eternity. That's why he can plan and have a goal in advance. That's what we call predestination. Third, God is a God of providence. What is providence? He is the one that will fulfill everything. In other words, he is the one that provides everything for us. The oxygens that you breathe, the food that you take, everything that is moving in your body is provided by God, actually. Four, he is a God of decree. In other words, what he puts as law, he cannot break it. Because the only thing that God cannot do is lie. He says like that. He cannot lie. What he does, he needs to fulfill it. That's why he has a decree. In other words, decree means that he has a time. And also, he has a schedule of everything. So you might ask, or you might wonder, why God you leave these people die? Why God you leave my parents or my friends to not believe in Jesus? Until when? We always ask that, right? Until when are we going to suffer? Until when you're going to leave us away? Why you don't just give us the answer? Remember, he is giving you the answer, but he has a decree on it, which is a time and a schedule. That's why it says, do not cease prayer. Keep praying unceasingly. You know why? Because the answer is coming. He has a time for it. You all believe in Christ in one time, in time of him. Did you believe it because it was very believable? Because someone explained it to you very well? No, it came in time. And that's what we call decree. Fifth, and also he has rule over death and life. What does that mean? He rules over all our lives and futures and all things. Sometimes it's very difficult to understand this. How come God can allow these people to die, right? That's a big question. How can God just be, let me save you, like that, and don't die? Why people live, people die. But actually, I'm telling you, it's not dying. You're moved to eternal place. God is not killing. God is moving. But those who accept him has a citizenship of heaven. You're moved to what? To heaven. But remember that God created man with free will. That's the only creature in this earth that has free will. Not like animals, but actually human with the image of God has the only thing which is called free will. Free will is what? I can decide to worship God, or I can decide to reject God. And they decided, Adam and Eve decided to listen to who? To Satan. They decided to that. In other words, what is true love for you? Do you ever have failed in love in your point of your life? Right? Everybody fell in love in point of life. Right? He's fighting for love. Everybody's fighting for love. Imagine someone that you hate, you don't like. He's very ugly, I don't like him. But this person loves you. And he's on you. Every day. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. But you're like, I don't like you. You're so ugly. But no, don't bother me. But he said, but I really love you. The more he comes to me, what's going to happen? The more I'm going to reject him, right? But what is true love that we cannot really do, actually? Okay, I love you, but you hate me. Okay, I leave it like that, right? I leave you. I'm not gonna bother you anymore. That is actually loving, right? The person, right? You always feel like I hope that he doesn't talk to me, and if he really doesn't talk to me, you feel relieved, right? What is true love? Do you think true love is invasive? God does not invade your life. He calls you to open the heart to come in and be with you forever. So, what do you think about God's love? I always talk about God's love is agape, right? I always tell you. It's different love from human. It's not invasive. That's why God has control of everything, but men must accept him because he really, really loves you. In other words, he can wait for you. Doesn't matter how many times. But there's a Bible verse that says that there's so many to sow from the ground, but there's no one to sow it. In other words, someone needs of the gospel, but there's no one that can share this gospel to that person. So how are they going to listen to the gospel? Then is God that intercedes himself by visions, by dreams, right? But at the end of the day, they must hear the gospel from an evangelist. Because if they don't hear the gospel, which is this, they're going to fall into mysticism, legalism, humanism. That's why the evangelist is very important. 6. What God is, who is God? What sovereignty does he has? He rules of heaven and hell. And 7, he has in his hand evangelism. What is evangelism? In other words, he has control of the church. That's why don't blame church right now. Don't be so hateful to church. I know there's churches that do not do the correct things. But even in the books of Revelations, he said he has control of all the churches. It's in his hands. So he has a purpose why he leaves that church there, even though they're doing not the good things. In Korea, there's so many heresies, right? JMS, 만민교회, 만민church, so many. But why does God leave that churches there, right? Make it disappear, God. Just giving you one thing. In full darkness, there's a need of light. And in full darkness, if light comes in, then it's very, very visible, right? You are called as a light and the salt for this world. Darkness is nothing. But you must understand what identity you have and what God you believe. And not just God, God, God. He gave us something more graceful, and that's his son. That's Jesus. And not only he came and died and resurrected after 3 days, because people resurrect actually after the next day, like my grandpa, long time ago. Officially, he died. A couple of hours later, he survived. He resurrected. Everybody, what? What happened? In Latin America, they put a grandmother in the coffin, and then the coffin was like knocking. And people, what's going on? Everybody was scared, and they opened it when she was alive. That was very scary, right? You would be very scared, right? But 3 days, after 3 days, why did Jesus say 3 days? He completely died, it means. You cannot disprove scientifically, medically that he did not die. So even God knew that man will be unbeliever. That man would say it's not possible. And he resurrected after the third day, exact third day. And he came and he talked to his disciples, gave all the mission, and I'm not going to talk about it, but he ascended and he sent what? The Holy Spirit. That's why the blessings that you have is triune God is with you. God the Father fulfilling the works in his word. God the Son fulfilled the works of that word. And God the Holy Spirit is working and fulfilling still this work with power and with authority. These three in one. If someone asks you, how can three be one? You don't need to explain because there's no explanation. Triune God is actually to believe, not to understand. Can you understand God? I gave you a long time ago the example, right? The ants. Remember the ants example? And one day I was just walking on the park and I saw these ants working very hard. Oh, they work so hard. I'm just going to give them a reward. I'm just going to give them a big castle made of Legos. And they make big castle for them when they were sleeping. So the ants woke up the next day and they saw the big castle. And they were like, wow, who made this? Who is this person? And then one day, the smart ant says, hey, I know someone I think who made this, and I think it's John. That's my name. My name is John. And then the ants say, who is John? I just heard about his name. I don't know, but he's John. And all the smart ants brought all the ants from all the providence, everybody. And they said, let's research about John. And they researched about John. How many years ants live? No more than 10 years. No more than 5 years. So imagine just 5 years of a whole entire life researching about John. Do you think the ants will know who am I? Do you think the ants will know why I gave that castle for them? No. But even that is so, there's a big gap. But do you think man can actually understand God? No, you cannot. He created you, but in a different way, with his own image. That's why man has this nature and nature of seeking something bigger than them, to trust and believe. And that's why people have created what? Religions, doctrines, denominations. You can never understand God, but you can have faith, which is grace and gift of God. So the only way to really believe in him is to believe that he came to you. And open your spiritual eyes that he has given you his son to solve the problem of sin, problem, and separation of God. The moment that you believe this, now you must enjoy this. How are you going to enjoy this? With the word, with prayer, and evangelism. That's why you come to church. Not because someone forced you to come. You know, he comes to church to see me, right? But it shouldn't be like that. At the end of the day, he must come to meet this precious gospel that he has. In other words, you come here to be restore, to be strengthened again. You don't come here because you don't have the gospel, you lack gospel. You come here to worship God through his son. Worshiping means you're enjoying, you're giving everything you have to him, to give glory to him. That's why you come next week to see me. No, you see me, but you need to see what's behind me. Christ. You have Christ, I have Christ. We meet that together. And that's what we call communion, worship. Okay? So I hope that within this week, I want you to enjoy really the blessings that you have is the gospel, but cannot end with you only. You must take this to the next generation. I'm not saying get married, have kids now. I'm not gonna pressure you with that. I'm not too old to tell you these things. But you have your kids in the church. You have your friends' kids. You have the kids in the church. We also have our other department with the children's. Those are the next generations. But it must start from you. You are the key for the next generation. That's why you must personalize, enjoy, imprint the gospel. The key of continuation. Let's pray. Thank you, God, for giving us this time of worship. Let us really enjoy the blessings that you have given us in Christ. Let us relay this gospel to our next generation as we imprint, personalize, enjoy the gospel every day. First of all, give us the strength and the grace that comes from above and comes from your Holy Spirit so we can enjoy that you are the one that works and fulfill everything which is written in your scriptures. Bless us, give us your wisdom, and guide us every day in your Holy Spirit. Thank you, God, and we pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you very much for your time and for coming today to this worship. This worship is for English speakers, and also we have the ministry for our TCKs, which are the kids that are from different cultures and backgrounds, like him, And we also have Jun in the back, He's gonna go to Spain this month. And June, the last week, he's coming here and meeting me, and we were talking about, what he can prepare, what he's gonna do in Spain. He's going for soccer, okay? But soccer is not everything, at the end of the day. So he's gonna, and also he's going to Russia in July to by boat. I told him, where you go? How you going? He said by boat. Yeah, I didn't know they have boat for Slovakia. I'm sorry, Russia part. I don't know. It takes a day, and he's going there, and probably we're talking about what we can have and what can he do over there. But mainly he's gonna go for medical reasons and also for training reasons. He wants to be a soldier in his future, so he want to serve. And also we have today two new people, So we are a very small family, so no pressure for you, okay? I don't know about you. Can you present yourself so I can hear? What's your name and where you came from? However you want to feel comfortable, I never push people. You can come upstairs if you want. You up here and present yourself. It's fine. All right, I'll give you the mic.
Yeah, hi. My name is Mercedes. 네. I'm from New Zealand. I'm a Kiwi. I'm here in Daegu as an elementary teacher teaching English. So I've been here for 4 months. Yeah.
All right. So were you in New Zealand? You met a missionary over there, or?
I grew up in a Christian family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Would you like to present yourself? Okay. All right. Are you from what part of Daejeon? It's pretty far. All right. So you came. It's been 4 months here. So you came with Epic. Okay. All right. Oh, so that's very good. We meet a lot of teachers from Epic, but that's good to have you here. We'll welcome you, and I hope that we can really serve you and to help you in anything that you need for this part of the word and the prayers. Yes, and we also have again our friends always from Guatemala and Panama. Hi, hello, and they're also Daisy. If it's okay, Daisy is planning to go to Busan to study, and I hope you pray for her too. She's gonna study. And they're both in Yeongnam Igongdae. Okay. So I didn't know last week. I talked to Estrellita. Her name is Estrellita, no? She's into fashion design. So I didn't know that. But yes, making the connections for her that I know about fashion designs, so she can be also with a team and be helped. And we have Stas over there. He's always doing ministry in Yongnan University, but you know, her, his her, his wife. Sorry, I was gonna be is Mashuda. She's a professor in Yongnan University, and yeah. So I hope that you keep prayers for all of them that I mentioned. And also, I know that a couple of you here that are serving here will go to your countries and to visit. But I hope that we keep praying and have connections. Thank you very much.